Welcome back to Crush Talk, the podcast where your crushes turn into conversations. You know, we talk a lot about navigating the ups and downs of real-life crushes, but what happens when technology throws a curveball?
Yeah.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of AI catfishing.
Yeah.
And trust me, this is one wild ride you won't want to miss.
It is. It is. Yeah, AI is changing the game.
Right.
It's not just about creating fake profiles anymore.
Yeah.
We're talking AI-generated photos and videos that are so realistic, they can fool even the most discerning eye.
Okay, so get this. I found this story that completely blew my mind.
Okay.
A French woman, let's call her Anne, divorced her husband and sent almost $1 million to a scammer pretending to be.
Oh.
Wait for it, Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt.
Brad Pitt. I know. I couldn't
It's interesting because
believe it when I read it.
scams like this thrive on exploiting vulnerabilities.
Right?
And she was going through a rough patch in her marriage.
Yeah.
Feeling isolated and longing for connection.
Okay.
That's when the scammer swooped in, pretending to be Brad Pitt's mother on Instagram.
Hold on. Rewind. Brad Pitt needs his mom to set him up on Instagram.
I know, right?
Come on.
Huge red flag.
Yeah.
But scammers are masters of manipulation.
Okay.
They build trust, they prey on emotions,
Nice.
and create these elaborate fantasies that people desperately want to believe.
Okay, so Mama Pitt slides into Anne's DMs, and before you know it, Brad himself is showering her with attention.
Oh, wow.
Love poems, promises of a future together, the whole 9 yards.
The whole 9 yards. Wow.
But here's the catch.
Okay.
The relationship unfolds entirely through text messages.
Okay.
And these super blurry, obviously fake AI-generated photos and videos.
So that's where the psychology of scams gets really interesting.
Okay.
It's not just about falling for a pretty face.
Right.
It's about confirmation bias.
Confirmation bias, okay.
Yeah, we tend to ignore red flags
Okay.
when they contradict what we deeply want to believe.
Right. In Anne's case, she was so caught up in this fantasy of being with Brad Pitt
Yeah.
that she overlooked the obvious signs of deception.
Wow. And the scammer knew exactly how to play her.
Oh, yeah.
He starts spinning this crazy tale
Okay.
about needing money for a kidney transplant
Oh, no.
because Angelina Jolie had frozen all his assets.
Oh, my gosh. Classic emotional manipulation tactic.
Oh, wow.
Create a sense of urgency, evoke sympathy,
Right.
and make the victim feel like they're the only one who can help.
And it worked.
Wow.
And divorced her husband, got a massive settlement. We're talking about $850,000.
Wow.
And wired it straight to the scammer.
Wow.
Convinced it was a loan that Brad would pay back.
This highlights a crucial point.
Okay.
These scammers aren't just tech savvy, they're incredibly skilled
Right?
at understanding human psychology.
Oh, wow.
They know how to exploit our desires,
Right.
our insecurities,
Yeah.
and our longing for connection.
And it's not just happening with celebrities like Brad Pitt.
No, not at all. You mentioned that AI catfishing scams are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Yeah, absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah.
If someone can create a fake Brad Pitt,
Right.
that's convincing enough to fool someone for months.
Months.
Imagine what they can do with other celebrities.
Oh my God.
Or even people you might know personally.
Right.
The technology is getting so good
Yeah.
that it's becoming harder and harder to tell what's real and what's not.
Okay. Now I'm officially creeped out.
Right.
Crush Talk listeners, have you ever encountered anything like this online?
I'd love to know.
Tell us your stories.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after a quick message.
Okay.
Don't forget to subscribe to Crush Talk for more deep dives into the world of crushes, connections, and everything in between.
Absolutely.
Welcome back to Crush Talk.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking about how AI is making catfishing scams
Right.
even more convincing, and how scammers are using these tactics to exploit people's deepest desires. It's scary stuff.
It is. And it's not just limited to photos. AI-generated videos are becoming increasingly common,
Yeah.
blurring the lines between reality and fiction even further.
You're talking about deepfakes, right?
Yes.
I've heard about those, but I'll be honest, I don't really understand how they work.
It's pretty complex, but
Right.
essentially, deepfakes use artificial intelligence
Right.
to manipulate existing videos, making it look like someone is saying or doing something they never actually did.
Wow.
Imagine taking a video of your favorite celebrity
Right.
and then using AI to make it look like they're confessing their undying love for you.
Okay, that is both amazing and terrifying at the same time.
It is.
But how can you tell if a video is real or a deepfake?
It's getting harder. But there are a few things to look out for.
Okay.
Pay close attention to facial expressions,
Okay.
especially around the mouth and eyes.
Right.
Deepfakes often struggle to create natural-looking movements in those areas.
I see.
Also, listen carefully to the audio.
Okay.
Does the voice sound authentic? Are there any glitches or distortions?
So basically, we need to become digital detectives.
Yes.
Scrutinizing every detail to avoid getting duped.
Exactly. And it's not just about protecting ourselves.
Right.
Think about the implications for society as a whole.
Okay.
What happens when we can't even trust what we see with our own eyes?
Yeah.
It erodes trust, fuels misinformation, and makes it even harder to navigate an already complex digital world.
It's like we're stepping into a science fiction movie where nothing is what it seems.
Right.
But beyond the techdom, what really gets me about these AI catfishing scams is the emotional toll they take on the victims.
Yes.
Remember the guy who thought he was dating Katy Perry for 6 years?
That case was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It shows how these scams can go on for years.
Right.
Weaving elaborate narratives that prey on people's hopes and dreams.
Wow.
The victims often invest so much time, energy, and emotion into these relationships,
Right.
only to discover that it was all a cruel lie.
It's like a betrayal on the deepest level.
It is.
Imagine thinking you're building a genuine connection,
Right.
sharing your innermost thoughts and feelings, only to find out that the person on the other end was nothing more than a digital ghost,
Yeah.
manipulated by a scammer.
And the worst part is anyone can fall victim to these scams.
Right.
It doesn't matter how smart or tech-savvy you are.
Right.
Scammers are experts at exploiting our human weaknesses.
Yeah.
Our desire for love, connection, and validation.
So what can we do to protect ourselves and our loved ones
Yeah, that's the big question.
from falling into these traps?
Right.
We've talked about being skeptical. But what are some practical tips?
Well, first and foremost, remember the golden rule.
Okay.
If it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Right.
Be wary of anyone who comes on too strong too fast.
Yeah.
Or who seems to check all your boxes perfectly.
Okay.
In the real world, relationships take time to develop.
Right. That's good advice for any relationship, online or offline.
Absolutely. And when it comes to online interactions, always do your research.
Okay.
If someone's profile seems suspicious,
Right?
don't be afraid to do a reverse image search
Okay.
to see if their photos have been used elsewhere.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Insist on video calls and pay close attention to any inconsistencies
Right.
in their appearance or behavior.
What about those AI-generated videos?
Right.
Any advice on spotting those?
It can be tricky, but look out for unnatural movements, especially around the mouth and eyes.
Right.
Pay attention to the audio quality
Okay.
and be wary of videos that seem too perfect
Yeah.
or heavily edited.
Okay, those are some great tips. Crush Talk listeners, are you taking notes?
I hope so.
This is important stuff.
It is.
But even with all the precautions in the world, it seems like these scammers are always finding new ways to trick us.
Right.
What's the future of AI catfishing, and how do we stay ahead of the game?
That's a great question. And the answer is both hopeful and concerning.
Okay.
On the one hand, researchers are developing new technologies to detect and expose AI-generated content. There are even tools that can analyze videos in real time to identify potential deepfakes.
That's reassuring, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Exactly. But on the other hand,
Yeah.
the technology used to create these fakes is also evolving at an incredible pace.
Right.
It's a constant cat and mouse game.
Right.
And as soon as we develop a new defense, the scammers find a way to circumvent it.
So basically, we need to stay vigilant, keep learning,
Yes.
and adapt as technology evolves.
Exactly. Knowledge is power. And the more we understand about AI,
Right.
its capabilities and its limitations, the better equipped we'll be to navigate the digital landscape safely and responsibly.
Well said. And we're back for the final stretch of our AI catfishing deep dive here on Crush Talk, where your crushes turn into conversations.
It has been a roller coaster
It really has.
of emotions, hasn't it?
Yeah.
From jaw-dropping scams to the ethics of AI.
Right.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have. So for our listeners just tuning in, let's recap the highlights of what we've learned today.
Okay.
We started by unpacking the story of Anne,
Yeah.
the French woman who lost nearly $1 million
Right.
to a scammer pretending to be Brad Pitt.
That story served as a stark reminder.
It did.
That scammers prey on our vulnerabilities,
right,
exploiting our desires for connection and validation.
And we learned that these scams aren't limited to just photos anymore.
Right.
AI-generated videos known as deepfakes are making it even harder to distinguish between reality and fabrication.
It's true.
And we also discussed the importance of being skeptical, doing our research, and looking out for red flags,
yes,
both in online profiles and during video calls.
Absolutely.
But even with all the precautions in the world,
right,
technology is evolving so rapidly that it can feel like a losing battle.
It can.
What gives you hope in all of this?
You know what gives me hope is the fact that awareness is growing.
Okay.
The more we talk about these issues,
right,
the more informed people become.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a powerful deterrent.
That's a good point. Knowledge is power.
It is.
So Crush Talk listeners, remember,
yes,
stay informed, stay vigilant, and don't be afraid to question what you see online.
Absolutely. And perhaps most importantly, remember that genuine connection and love are built on trust, respect, and shared experiences in the real world.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive into AI catfishing, let's leave our listeners with a final thought.
Okay.
In a world where technology is constantly blurring the lines between reality and fantasy, how do we protect ourselves and our loved ones from being deceived?
That's the question.
That's something to ponder as we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of digital relationships.
Absolutely.
Until next time, stay safe,
Marcus,
stay savvy, and keep those crushes turning into healthy, real-life connections. This is Crush Talk signing off.